This time, we're going to work on a 6-foot tall Dr. Shivers. There he is. So, let's see what he does or doesn't do. On the bottom, he's plugged in. Have a little purple button.
I need a volunteer for a little experiment. Side effects may include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and a slight loss of vital organs.
Okay. Well, according to this, it says his mouth moves, which it didn't. He's ready to greet you, which apparently he was. He collapses, which he does. The eyes look left and right as his head turns, which they did. And it says his eyes and beaker light up. Well, none of that happened. I'm going to turn off some of this light here. So, we're going to bring the phone back. That's my half-ass backdrop there, just to block out some of the stuff. We're going to turn them on again. Or try to. Because we want to check to see what is or isn't doing its thing from a far back view. Okay, his beaker does light up.
I need a victim. No, I mean a guinea pig. No, I mean a patient. No, just somebody lie down and close your eyes.
All right, one more time.
I know. Let's play a game. I call it Fun with Electricity.
All right, well that time his eyes lit up, but his beaker didn't. So, I wonder if it's a bad connection inside or if that's how this is actually programmed.
Ever since the incident, I've not been quite the same. Except for my shocking personality.
So it looks like the biggest issue is his mouth doesn't move. And it's not like the last one, I didn't hear any clicking. I got good resistance on the jaw. It's not floppy like the last Gemmy I worked on. It probably looks inappropriate. I'm not sure about the beaker, if it's supposed to, the connection's right here, if it's supposed to light up all the time or not. His eyes are working, and they do flash, but I have to find some video on what this looks like all the time, which of course there's the Gemmy master out there who probably has it on his YouTube page. I'll have to look at it. This is one of those that was bought trying to make it fully function for the person. It was outside a lot. It has some weathering, but not a lot. I'm assuming this is supposed to be here because it's smooth. I think it's cast inside. That's what it looks like. So, let's take apart his head and look at his mouth. We're back in the kitchen where I have countertop, so I can do this because, again, it's usually too big for my workbench that I have in my office. So, let's take off his head. Unlike the last one, this one's fully intact. It's missing a screw. It does have a crack though, but this ring is completely intact to get inside to look at the jaw. So, speed things up. I'm going to try and use a drill, but apparently I don't have the right size bit. Put into it, so let's grab the right bit. There we go. through. This one's brittle as well, since the one screw did break through. Piece of broken plastic. Get out of the way. Let's take a look inside. Here's the wires that go up and within it. We have this one goes to the eye motor. This one goes to the eye lights, it looks like. And then this yellow wire, yellow and white, go to the jaw, which go into the recessed barrel jack. So, before I assume that the jaw motor's bad, I'm going to check the power coming out of the big guy in his neck and see what we're getting out of his neck. There's a chance there's no power getting in here and not sending it to his head, since of course everything comes up through the torso. So first I'm going to go check that, and if that doesn't work, then we'll work on taking apart his skull. So, return in just a moment. Okay, that was quick. I went and checked. I'm getting 6 volts out of his neck on this power port. So technically, if the motor's good, his jaw should be working. The next test I have would be to actually just send 6 volts power to the jaw momentarily, meaning not sustain for a second or two, to see if I can get any movement out of his jaw, since this is a standard barrel jack right there. Also, with it exposed, I can clip alligator clips right here to the power wires. I'm assuming polarity is not going to matter too much, but I want to know if that motor's working, or if I have a broken piece of plastic up inside here, which, if it is broken, it's pretty quiet, because the last one was really loud, because the jaw bracket was smacking back and forth. So that's the next step. Let's do some power testing, which I'll probably do that on the bench, because his head technically should fit on my bench without a problem, and see if we can get his jaw to function like it's supposed to, and work from there. Because as much fun as these are to take the skin off, I'm trying not to damage the latex, especially because of the age. I don't want it to tear. And I'm not sure if this one will be as easy as the skull brain monster, because it looks like it's a full latex. I'll show you what I mean. You can see that his scalp's lifting from the glue, separating. And if you look up underneath, as best as you can, it's all one big rubber mask. So if there's any glue in the face, where the cheeks or the jaw or the skull is, to the big plastic mold, as I peel it off, it could rip holes into the latex flesh. So, see what we can do first without dismantling his skull, and then go from there. So, I'm going to go switch this over to the bench cam, so you can get an aerial view of me doing the test, since I didn't bring my phone over to the torso to check the voltage real quick. But if you've seen me work on other projects, it's very simple. Voltmeter, I just put one lead on the hole on the other side and one lead on the outside, and then turn it on and then watch the voltage. And it fluctuated between 5 and 6 volts depending on the movement of the neck. So that means his jaw would be going up and down. So, all right, one moment. Okay, I have his head cradle between 2 sets of helping hands to hold it up so we can see inside. And I have my power supply set at 6 volts. So I'm just going to connect it quickly to this to see if I can get that motor to move. Which you can hear. So the motor is moving. Now I need to see inside, so I have to adjust it so I can see if the mechanism is moving. which it is not, which is why it can go without making some god-awful sounds. So it has a broken part, so the head is going to have to be dismantled. Something in here is broke, hopefully not the bars, which they can partially be seen. Let me move the helping hands out of the way. So if I look at a very steep angle, I can see the two bars. I'll try and show you what I'm looking at before we take this thing apart. Right down in there, you see the plastic there, and there's one right here. Those are the bars that control the movement of the jaw. They appear to be attached. It's possible they're broken. Let's see if I can get some light in here. Oh no, it's split. Alright, so here's the one from the other Gemmy that I worked on. I didn't put his jaw back in because I'm trying to see about 3D printing this part. This one in here is the same. It's broke off, and the reason it's not clacking is this metal piece. Let me get closer to the camera. This metal piece right here that goes through the casting. The casting is completely off, so it's spinning and not clacking. So his jaw has the same malfunction. And just like the previous one, you can see, or excuse me, just like this one, the previous one, the barrel jack is the jaw. So if your jaw breaks and it's making ungodly noises, you can technically open the head, just unscrew these two screws right here, and then just have this dangle inside his head so the jaw doesn't work, but you don't have to hear the clacking like the old one. This one, there's no clacking because the piece has moved out of the way of the moving components. So there's really no point in trying to work on the jaw because I don't have the ability to fix that plastic bar yet. Probably leave it plugged in. The motor still turns. It's a little loud because it's not doing anything, but it's not doing any. It's not doing any damage to the equipment inside. I'll ask the owner if they just want this unplugged and dangling inside. Put the screws back in here so you don't lose them. And then if we can 3D print those jaw pieces, then take the head apart to fix this one and the previous one. And probably the next one, because it seems to be a running problem with these Gemmys that he has, is that jaw piece keeps snapping. So the shoulders, where it makes the head move, is a little loud, so we're going to check the gears and see if the gears inside are bad. If you have a Gemmy product, you can go online. There is a company who sells rebuild kits, and I went online and I bought a couple since I'm working on several different Gemmys. So it is Skull Crane Animatronics Animatronic Repair Starter Kit. See right there. There is, as it says here, 15 total pieces. You look through the bag, you got some small drive belts, you got some 10-tooth gears, you got some small pulleys, you got some 8-tooth gears, which are apparently all the standard pieces that break on these. On the last one, the 10-tooth is broke, which is probably what broke in his neck as well. This one probably has a broken 10-tooth as well, and the jaw, I'm not too concerned since the jaw, we'll just call it the jaw bone, is broken. But his neck is noisy, especially without the head on it, when it rotates, and I'll go show you again. So this rebuild kit supposedly will fix what's inside of his neck. So I did buy a few of those. Again, it's, one more time, Skull Crane Animatronics. I believe they're out of Florida if I remember right. But it contains 3 8-tooth gears, 3 9-tooth gears, 3 10-tooth gears, 3 pulleys, and 3 rubber belts. So there's your if you can't read the small print right here. Okay, we're back to the torso. See here, the headless torso. And turn it on.
I know. Let's play a game. I call it Fun with Electricity.
You can hear how noisy it is. I am not sure if it's supposed to be that loud, but since I have the rebuild kit and we know that it already has a cracked jaw, we're going to go ahead and start disassembling this and get inside to where the mechanism is and see if it's got a cracked gear. And then we'll go from there. So I'm going to lower him so he's not at my head height, because this part of his neck is the same height as my chin, so it's easier to work on. And then we'll start it back up with the disassembly and how to get into this hub, which is pretty simple, but still we'll try and show everything. Now we have it down at more manageable height. We're going to remove the 4 outer screws and the 1 center screw. So yep, that one actually stuck to the tip of the screwdriver. So the 4 outer screws are off. We'll remove the retention collar. So you can see there's a, get the screws out so I don't lose them. Apparently 2 of them are going to stay. So the retention collar has a notch. It's also cracked. That notch is over here for this cable. So when this pivots, this cable swings inside that notch. So there's the retention collar. Now let's take out center screw. There's the little cam. And there's the cam hole. I was trying to get it so it stopped moving. It's covered in grease, which is good, so it's slick. Here's your incoming wire for your 2 connections that route around. So I'm just going to slide that over here, and there's 3 more screws. They are number 1s, so I'm not going to get a new bit, since what I have in my bit right now is number 2. So give me 1 second. Okay, I got a new bit. I already got 1 screw out, so I want to make sure the bit would fit in the recess. It's also a different drill, just makes it easier. So I have 1 drill with a number 1, 1 drill with a number 2. I'm lifting it by the cam, and here are the 2 large gears. There's a couple more down yonder. These gears look pretty good. A little greasy, which is good. They're well lubricated. The grease is clean, which is surprising. So let's take a look in here. And you should be able to see that 10 tooth is split. I don't have anything to point at it, so I'll use the tip of my pocket knife. Splits right there. So let's examine the other 2 gears, which they look to be okay. So we need a new 10 tooth. There we go. You can definitely see that split. So luckily, that's where this comes in. I think these are like $10 on their website. Can't remember. 1 second while I get this bag open. Since the staple stayed in the plastic and not into the cardboard. There we go. Yeah, close up my fingers. There's the back of these. So they're labeled 8 tooth, 10 tooth, 9 tooth, pulley gears, and belts. There we go. There we go. And we'll quickly zoom back over here. When we look at that, you can count the teeth. You got, looks like 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we got a broken 10 tooth, which again is standard. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that one off and then put the new one on. Okay. There's the new gear pressed on. Here's the old gear. Focus. With the crack right there. That is actually a lot harder to put on than you think. Mainly because he moves up and down, and as you're pushing, it's absorbing the pressure. The easiest way I found to do it was to, with one hand, push this all the way down so that this thing isn't all springy, and with the other hand, push like hell to get it to slide over. You don't want to lubricate it because it might slip. But there we go. So now I'm going to reassemble the hub, and then we're going to try it and see if it's still as noisy. And sorry about all the shaky cam a minute ago when I was trying to do the bags and opening all that. That's just me. I have nothing here to hold it and move with me. I don't have a body mount for my camera or a gimbal. So, but there we go. So one moment. Okay, it's back together. I had to do it 3 times because I forgot. That cam that's underneath what the screws into, that is, well, you have to time it to make sure that the cam is facing the right way, so when you put this piece on, it doesn't over rotate and smack these cables into these sides. Plus, this housing has a little notch that fits on this retention ring. So you gotta make sure you put the ring on right. If you screw it up, it won't screw down, but...
Ever since the incident, I've not been quite the same. Except for my shocking personality.
There you go. The first time I did it, this cable, I did it without this retention ring. This cable would go over the top of this because it was off. So I unscrewed those 3 small screws, lifted up a hair, turned the cam, basically 1 or 2 gear teeth, dropped a bet down and tried it again. I overturned it, so I must have done 2 teeth, and I turned it back, and now it's centered again. So that's slightly important. So that's all back together. It's all screwed down. It's good to go. So next step is to put the head back on and try and find a way to fix that jawbone. But that's how you open this up and replace the gears. So I'm going to take it over to the counter. At the counter, this time I decided to pause it so it didn't get all jumbly and jittery. So, didn't need the 9 tooth, didn't need the 8 tooth, didn't need the pulley gears, but or the belt. So I just needed one of those. There's the broken one. Try to look so you can see that big old crack. And you can hear that mechanism a lot quieter. And I'm sure inside his head here, the jaw probably has a broken gear as well. But I don't want to open that up until I can get that jawbone piece replaced. So, at the moment, he is done as well. But the difference between this one and the other one is with the help of Gemmy Master Animatronics and Skull Rain, I was able to get the parts and get the know-how on how to open him and his torso right there to install these parts if needed. Of course, if I can 3D print a jaw piece, which you might be able to see, you can probably see right there in the, right up there, that split. And that silver shaft turns without moving the jaw. So, there's a good chance that if I can remake that piece of plastic, make a 3D print file, we might be able to repair all these, make their mouse work again. But inside this gearbox is another one of those 10-tooth gears, and if it's like the last one, it's probably broke. And then up in there, that motor right there, in that little gearbox is another set of gears and another 10-tooth, and that might be why his eyes move jittery and it's loud. It's probably due to the fact there's another broken 10-tooth gear in there. So, but I don't feel like peeling his skin off until I can find a way to fix that jawbone. I'm assuming this mechanism and all the other ones are the same, because from this angle it does look to be the same as the previous one. So if I can make one, I'll make a couple and then take this one apart. Until next time, thanks for watching.